Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the TheP-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael Angelillo. Michael, we've been doing these midweek shows pretty much all season. I feel like kind of starting to wind down, with the recaps. And, I think next week is probably going to be our last midweek show to recap NFL because we're going to have playoffs and, you know, start talking more winter sports as well. But tonight we're going to wrap up the NFL and we'll talk about the Monday Night Football game this weekend when we do our show at our normal time. But yeah, man. The ultimate Sirianni win occurred yesterday against Eagles Bills.
Frustrating to say the least. They just keep doing this to themselves. Why don't we start? Let's just start with that.
The
We'll
Bills
start with the
technically
Eagles.
covered, right? Was it? Wait, no, I know. Did the Eagles
No,
lay
Eagles
1.5?
covered. The Eagles were
Eagles covered.
underdogs. Yeah. So you look at that game, and
It was a slop fest with the weather. We can't, as great as the defense played, you have to admit, the weather definitely played a factor, I think.
sure, I really think the weather got because it's not like it was that windy. It was just kind of rain, and Brady kept talking a lot about the gloves and so slippery and here and there, sure, but I don't know. The Eagles had really no problems in the first half with the weather. Um, the the biggest we'll start with the positives for the Eagles, which is once again the defense. Obviously, the defense was pretty impeccable for essentially the entire game. But this game, the final result can really be looked at in three humongous Josh Allen mistakes, shortcomings. He did not play a good game. I mean, the Eagles had him in hell. Sure, the ankle or foot was a little banged up, but he just didn't play well either. He was putting on the Superman cape without making good decisions. But there were three massive plays. Obviously, the 2-point conversion at the very end. He's got Shakir wide open. That's a throw he'll probably make 99 times out of 100. And it's like there was a magnet in the ball to the turf, the way the ball just sunk right down as he was fading away, making that throw. And then
Threw off his
also,
threw off his back foot. Um,
I mean, we've seen him make those throws off platform all the time. It's really was not any degree of difficulty. He just flat out missed it. He made a terrible throw. Obviously, the fumble, huge turning point early in that game. Again, trying to do way too much, not just throwing it away out of bounds, trying to hold on to it and tuck it and make a play, and then ends up slipping out of his hands and fumbling, and it kicks back 40 yards. Craziness. Um, and then the really long 20-yard sack he took, where the Eagles had fantastic coverage against what the Bills wanted to do there. Jalen Carter had great contain as Allen tried to scramble, turns back and runs himself well out of field goal range, and they have to punt. Where another field goal, then end result could have been a lot different. So Josh Allen, two horrible negative plays that put them out of field goal range and opportunity to put points on the board, and then point blank at the end, just missing the wide open Shakir for the game-winning 2-point conversion. So all those three things had to go in the Eagles' favor, which was very nice. But besides that, they put him in a very uncomfortable spot all game. They were getting a ton of pressure with four-man fronts. They have the most sacks with four-man fronts over the last 5 weeks. They have the most sacks in football over the last 6 weeks or so. The defense is really, really coming together and hitting that form that they were in, this time last year, entering the playoffs as what really was a huge key role in them winning a Super Bowl last year was how elite and historic the defense was. And the defense the last few weeks against some weaker opponents really started hitting that stride. And this week against, the reigning MVP, top three quarterback in the league, James Cook having a top 5 running back season this year. The Bills' running attack being as great
It
as
was
it
leading the
is.
league in rushing.
Totally. Is he more than two? He's got like 1,600 rushing yards. But just shutting him down, shutting down Allen. It was a defensive masterclass from Vic Fangio and all the players out there. There were a couple plays that were unfortunate, like some one in a million circus catches from Shavers, and that was a drop really, and Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, the
But other than that, the defense was
yeah.
really,
So to
really
me,
dominant.
like it was just a fact. The game was officiated one sided because now the NFL has 2 games next week that are utterly meaningless. In other words, Patriots Jets and Bills Dolphins. Right. So the Bills, you know, listen, the Patriots were
Those
going
games
to.
have seeding implications, not division implications, but seeding implications.
Well, I mean, early on in the game, I mean, the Eagles had points taken away by, I would say, pretty egregiously bad calls. I would say the missed PI on AJ Brown, that was really bad. Um, you call that that gets called 99 times out of 100.
He's got to do a better job selling the pass interferences. It's a total blatant missed call, but there's a reason the Eagles don't get a lot of pass interference calls, and it's because him and Smitty just do not sell it well in the slightest. Like they really don't, because they think they can catch everything, so they try to, and they're not once like, you know, AJ will say he probably should have caught that one even with one hand instead of trying to draw a penalty. It's something that they actually like. It needs to be coached better because they, in like naked eye looking at it, yeah, it does look like he's just kind of, arm barring, hand fighting, trying to make a one-handed catch. But then you see the replay and he's got his arm totally pinned back, can't move it. You got to sell that a little bit for me. It's something they don't do at all at the receivers. But
then, you,
regardless,
then you had a couple roughing the passers missed on Jalen Hurts. Um,
yeah,
and the reason, and listen, like, if they would have lost, like, it wouldn't have been on bad if missed call. It would have been on missed calls, in my opinion. But to me, it does feel like it is really embarrassing to me for the Bills, where you have a game like, listen, everyone complained about Mahomes winning these type of games. Michael, he won those games, right? The Chiefs would win those games. The Patriots would win these type of games. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, that roughing the passer on Tom Brady is egregious. The Jesse James touchdown call, blah blah. They would win those games, Michael. Like it is bad for to me it looks bad when you're at home, the opposing team is getting like you're basically getting handed free points and you're utterly failing to capitalize on those like missed calls. And kudos to the Eagles for not getting rattled by those bad calls because Josh Allen on the fumble was trying to, beg for a flag, doesn't
well, he
get it.
thought it was an incomplete pass, and like it wasn't, and you should play through the whistle. But that was his argument that he must have thrown it. It's true. The officiating was absolutely slighted Buffalo's way, and all they had to do was just make the final throw, and it's like it all comes to a
I
head,
think
and
it
it's
was
like those are
honestly,
how most
Michael. I
games
think
go.
it was karma because
Little bit, man. It really
it
felt a
was
little
it was
karmic.
100% karma because the Bills complained that the tush push violates safety. They spam it with Josh Allen, which look, kudos to them, man. If you're gonna spam the tush push, Josh Allen's a pretty good quarterback to spam it with. But don't. But to use player safety and not like, oh, we just don't want the Eagles to run it anymore. I can't. I hate to. We're digging this up, but
We're definitely beating a dead horse here. Like we,
but
we knew
they,
this is what it was
but
going to be.
they ran it for the win. Which, by the way, on the Dawson Knox touchdown that was called back, blatant OPI that was missed on that. They get the ball at the 1, and listen, OPI that maybe is probably good. they didn't call OPI. Maybe that, I don't know. Like,
I mean, no, it's 10 yards. It would have been a 10-yard penalty. It would have been 3rd and goal from like the like the 12-yard line, 13-yard line. I mean, I'll gladly take that with 18 seconds to go on the clock. But you know, they ended up winning the game, and that's it's all that matters. The Eagles won. Happy day. We got to get to the bad, and the bad is what it's been all year. I mean, we thought that a leaf was kind of turning with them against a couple bad opponents. We thought, you know what, this is where you right your wrongs, you fix your mistakes, you get your process is looking a lot
sorry to
better.
interrupt you. Shout out special teams, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah,
For the
Braden
most
Man,
part, Braden
yeah,
Mann,
Brandon
Jordan
Man was
Davis,
awesome.
block extra point
Jalen
determined
Carter,
the
you
game.
mean?
Jalen
Yeah,
Carter,
Jalen Carter.
it determined the game.
Yeah, and then Jake making his kicks, one being a 47-yarder, was encouraging, very encouraging. But yeah, the offense once again, it's done what they've done a lot this season. You can think about it mostly in, I'll say, 3 other games besides this one, um, 2 of which they lost, 1 of which they've won. You think of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, the other game this season where Jalen Hurts did not complete a pass in the second half. You think about the Denver Broncos game where they actually ended up losing because they went in the gutters and got a little conservative. They couldn't run the ball and things weren't clicking anymore, and they blew a 17-3 lead. The Dallas Cowboys game, get a huge lead at the end of the half. You can't put a game away because you can't sustain drives in the second half. And then once again here, again, as much as we can applaud the defense and the special teams for being amazing, the game was there to be lost. It like the conversation shouldn't change because Allen missed the throw to win the game. Like it was whether he makes the good throw and then they lose, or if he misses it like he did, the point still stands that they put themselves in a position to lose the game because they go in the turtle shell and they rely extremely and almost solely on Vic Fangio to just kind of finish the game out and bail them out. And it's frustrating because we watched the first half in worse conditions than what the second half was, and it was gross. And we watched the offense in the first half be a normal offense, be an effective offense, be an efficient offense. We watch play action bootlegs and Jalen throwing the ball downfield to open crossing routes to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith. We watch the running game generating good push and getting holes open for Saquon where he can gash them. We watch them get towards the goal line, come out in a heavy set and run a play action to hit a wide open Dallas Goedert for a touchdown. We watched all these things, and we watched Jalen make some great throws out of structure. And then you get to the second half, and it's okay, we're going to go heavy and run, but our run schemes are really bad, and the interior offensive line is a effing atrocity, and we can't block, and there's nowhere to run, and we get behind the sticks. And all of our passing concepts on 3rd and long in the second half are we just really don't want to turn the ball over. So hopefully, Jalen, just don't make a mistake. Drop back. If your one read isn't there, just kind of don't take a sack and throw it away. And that's fine, man, because our defense is playing so well. And that's what it was. Jalen threw 7 passes in the second half, one of which was a slant pattern that was not even open that Jalen probably should have hit Saquon in the backfield. And all the other ones there were 5 throwaways, 5 just blatant throw out of bounds, and 1 that went through Devontae Smith's hands. You give yourself that little opportunity, you're not going to move the ball. The game plan should not have changed when the half ended. It should have kept being the same thing. All you needed
Yeah,
was any sort of other points.
well, you get conservative if you score 10 more points in the second half, you go up 23-0, then you got 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then
Sure, then
then
you can
sure, because then you make the Bills nickel and dime down the field to
and you're
wait
killing clock.
to kill clock, and then they'll go for on every fourth down because they need to. Then they score a touchdown, you recover the onside kick with 3 minutes.
Game's over.
Tanner goes in, kneels down, yay, huge win. Eagles played through the
And the
muck.
vibes are completely different today.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's like, wow, the Eagles had some calls go against them. It's like the first Rams game last year, where the Eagles probably should have hung like 55 on them then, but they had some egregious calls and they still just destroyed them regardless.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know?
And this is what you get where the quarterback is begging you in his post-game pressers. He's been begging you all season. How many post-game press conferences in the Rams game, in the Broncos, all these games that he has to say, we just really need to maintain that aggression and maintain our aggressiveness throughout the entire game. He's been saying it for months. And what's so frustrating is that they're capable of doing it. They have the plays. It's not even like they don't have good plays and we think they're so stupid and they don't know football. They have them. They're just not calling them. They're not running their offense the same way once they get a lead against a good team. They get scared. They go in the turtle shell. And there's no reason for me to trust that they're just gonna snap out of it because it's week 17 and they're still doing it. If they had stopped doing it like we thought they did after the Commanders and the Raider games the last 2 weeks, and then they did it, they ran a normal game for 4 quarters against Buffalo, like you said, and won the game 23-8 or whatever, we'd be feeling great. We'd be like, "You know what? Not many teams can F with us because our defense is that good, and we finally figured something
Even
out
if,
on
even if
offense."
you would have gotten 2 field goals in the second half, up 19-0, you
They didn't
still
cross midfield.
like it's Michael.
How many first downs did they get? Did they get any?
No.
Let's see. Let's see, because I don't think they got any.
I think they've got one with Saquon had a nice run, and then
I
they
think they did too. The first drive, maybe? Let's see. Play by play, third quarter. They did. First drive in the third quarter. 5-yard run Saquon, 10-yard run Saquon, throwaway, 2-yard loss, throwaway, punt. Then 3 plays, 3 incompletions, punt. 3 throwaways, that is, I should say, too. Well, excuse me, 1 wasn't a throwaway, 1 was the Devonta Smith catch that was wiped off the board. Next drive, 2-yard run to Jalen Hurts. This was on their own 1-yard line, so I really can't even kill him for this one. 2-yard run, Jalen Hurts, 2-yard run to Saquon. Jalen slides down for a sack, and then they punt. Fourth quarter, Saquon Barkley runs for 3 yards. Second down, Saquon Barkley runs for 1 yard. Third down, Jalen Hurts throwaway, punt. Last offensive drive they had, Saquon Barkley negative 3-yard run. Saquon Barkley 1-yard run. Jalen Hurts passed to Devonta Smith through his hands, punt. And then they needed out. I mean, that's embarrassing. John, they got 1 first down in the second half. That's atrocious. That is atrocious. And stuff like that it will drive you insane because this will cost you a playoff game. You know what I mean? Like, I know we keep saying it, and they've only lost, the Bronco game really screwing up this bad in the second half or whatever, but it's going to get gritty. It's going to get to a time where you're playing an offense that can strike a little bit quicker, or the game just looks exactly like this. And the only difference is whoever you're playing doesn't miss the throw at the end. Again, Josh Allen, you'd assume makes that throw, but let's say this is in Chicago and this is the Bears game, and Caleb Williams drops a 40-yard bomb over the shoulder to kill you like this. Am I supposed to get mad at the defense for allowing that or something, as if the writing hasn't been on the wall all season on how the season could end poorly for this team? It's frustrating. It really, really is, because the potential is there to go on another run, and I just can't believe in it until I see it. And there was an opportunity to showcase it, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, I would say, Michael, I
I hate
just
to be this negative after wins, but Jesus Christ, John, were you not also wanting to gouge your eyes out watching what the hell they were doing in the second half?
yeah, I just I don't understand the fear of turning it over from the coaching staff from a like especially this year when they've pretty much established like we need to get up 3-4 possessions in this late in the second half, and then we pull our starters. And because I don't even like. I'm trying to think going back to 2023. Like I don't really recall them blowing games because of bad Jalen Hurts turnovers. It to me it's almost I think it to me it's almost like
The only times he would have the backbreaking turnover that would directly lead to the loss was when they were losing and they were kind of little, it was like little desperation time. You think of that Jets game where it was tight and he threw that awful
Charger
interception
game.
and they lost. You think of the Charger game this year. You think of the Atlanta game last year where they got the ball back after going passive in the second half and not being able to finish the game out. And Jalen throws a pick trying to put the go ahead drive together. It happened against Denver this year. Like they, it's
If
just
they
such
get
a frustrating angle for
if they
them.
get bounced in the playoffs because of the ultra conservatism, um, it's
It's
yeah,
really a fireball
I
offense,
don't,
man.
um,
Like the head coach and the quarterback are just on two opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to philosophy. Obviously, they're both win at all costs, but Jalen is begging the team to be good enough to win a game without the defense having to need the defense to be perfect. He's begging for it. He's like, he would love to win a game where they can get up early and they can just keep adding on and the defense can pin their ears back and just wreak a bunch of havoc because the game's over. I mean, we did this against Tampa of all freaking teams. They stink.
I thought what I found odd about this game plan was you saw like they just more crossers, like more wrinkles, and we
I
all
was
kind of
looking
thought.
great in the first half. I was so excited.
I mean, honestly, what's probably going to wind up happening is if this does cost them, especially the first round, then most likely Kevin Patullo is going. It's going to be a repeat of 2023, where it's going to be because listen, Howie Roseman, and I think to a certain extent Jeffrey Lurie, they've invested so many resources into this roster that it's almost like with the Eagles offense, Michael, it's like if you had a Lamborghini and you only drive it 40 miles an hour because you're afraid of chipping the paint. And what do? You fire well, I mean, this is
You
the
fired
tricky part. You literally sent me a tweet though since 2022 of like the Eagles record and like
They win a lot of games, man. They've put together a really good product. They put together an incredible roster, and the coaching staff
but
has the
I think
players believing in themselves
the
at least.
the the irony of this like conservative approach when you look at their winning is that they won their first Super Bowl by going pedal to the
Balls to the
metal.
wall, aggressive. Yeah,
Yeah, and then they won the last Super Bowl because you know then they tried to run, the Chiefs sold out, so they were just taking shots. It felt like nonstop
I mean they
downfield.
lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago because of this conservatism to an extent.
Well,
The punt on
that's what.
4th and 2, not running on 3rd and 2 before you punt on 4th and 2. That's really when the tush push was literally unstoppable, deciding not to push it twice on 3rd and 2. Like, it's just it is definitely a trend that got exasperated and grew exponentially after 2023, where Jalen threw a lot of interceptions despite not even playing that badly that season, and it puts you in this conflict where, yes, you're winning games, but it doesn't feel like they're learning from the mistakes. It felt like they
I mean, if
learned
the
some
Colts
things when they
fired
lost.
Steichen, I'm just going to throw it out there right now. If the Colts just fired Steichen because, listen, Chris Ballard, we know, is
Regardless, if the Colts fire Steichen, what's the proposition here?
and the Eagles get bounced in the first round, then it's going to be like the most like obvious reunion possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd get a head coaching gig, and it would just happen to be. Are
If
the
Gannon,
Eagles going to do
it's
that?
the irony. Like even with Gannon to a certain point, Sirianni. If Vic Fangio retired after this year, Gannon gets fired.
God forbid.
Sirianni would want Gannon to come back. Howie Roseman
I
wouldn't.
don't think so. I
Howie
think that
Roseman
bridge.
wouldn't want him to come back because they basically, you
I don't
know,
think Nick would want him back. I think Nick feels slighted by him. Definitely. I do. I think the way that snake shit that he pulled is not going to go over well. Um, Regardless of all that, if this team wants to go on a run and this team wants to win another Super Bowl, they just have to play a complete offensive game, and it's so frustrating because it's there. They know how to do it. Their offensive line was a disaster in the second half run blocking, but they weren't trying to run what was successful in the previous weeks. They weren't running duo. They weren't running with their double teams. The offensive line looks confused every play. Jeff Stoutland needs to start getting some blame as the run game coordinator because we're now almost past like how many times are guys just getting beat because they're old or hurt or whatever? And now it's guys don't seem to know what they're doing. Two guys are trying to go block one guy, but not in a double team because it's in a way if someone's doing the wrong thing. Guys are left unblocked because they think the other guy's getting them. That's like play side, strong side defensive tackles where they're running to are getting unblocked because the two guys around them are going to block other guys. And it's like we're on week 17 with this all world
they
offensive line. Why is this happening?
they really, even though he's kind of he's a shell of himself, they really do miss Lane. Like Fred Johnson,
I
not
wouldn't call him a shell. I'd
well.
call Landon Dickerson a shell of himself or Cam Jurgens a
Well, I
shell of
think
himself.
Landon Dickerson, I think, just did not prepare himself. I think maybe for the season like he probably should have, which happens
He
a
had to
lot.
get well, when did he get surgery? August or
Like mid
whatever?
August.
Like, that's horrible. Cam Jurgens literally looks like a shell of himself, and I think Tyler Steen wouldn't look so bad if he was stuck between Jurgens and Fred Johnson, to be honest with you. I think Steen's been the best of the 3 this year, and I don't even know if it's been close, the way of how bad the other 2
I
have
mean,
been.
geez, Michael. I mean, I don't know. Like Jalen Carter still prepared himself for the season despite his injuries. His shoulders were just dead. He takes a week, like a month off. He came back yesterday. Looks like the old Jalen Carter. Makes a huge play. Made several plays.
Multiple huge plays, wreaked a lot of havoc.
Like looked like the
The guy that's gonna get paid a
Aaron
lot of money
Aaron
in a couple
Donald
of
Jr.
years.
It looked like Aaron
Yeah,
Donald
yeah.
Jr. out there. Like, let's just be honest. He looked like it. Like that to me, I think to a certain extent, when this season ends, if the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl, I do think some blame needs to be laid. I think with the offensive line most certainly, and I think maybe Jeff Stoutland needs to take some of the blame. Because I feel like this year, especially after they won the Super Bowl, like maybe like some guys got a little full of themselves and they need like a little bit of a reality check. Like it's on one.
Maybe. They're really poorly coached on offense, like, really, really poorly coached. They still come out of the huddle with, like, no time on the play clock. We talked about the offensive line not knowing who to block. We talk about how the play design, when they go conservative, is just an absolute atrocity. Like, they'll have 2 guys out in a pattern that are getting blanketed, and the quarterback's just gotta throw it away, or we have 3 guys out in the pattern where 2 of them are getting bracketed and the check down is running right into the 3rd route, and there's just nowhere to go. Jalen's in the top of his drop and you freeze it, top of his drop. What do we have? What are the options? And it's like absolutely nothing. And again, it's gonna happen. You're not gonna have someone open every play. But when it's the opposite and every time you're throwing that's happening, it's insane. It's
I think I
horrible.
think we literally I think we may see it's either KP or me scenario on offense, and I think that's what's going to cause. I mean, I don't know. Like we'll talk about this later when next week when Black Monday happens in the NFL. Even though we
Mhm.
already had some coaching firings, But there's so many lousy jobs being opened up, Michael. There is a possibility, you're going to laugh at me when I say this. This is probably going to be my New Year's prediction for the Eagles. Kevin Patullo is going to be a head coach of one of these crappy teams.
I think it'll
Because,
depend how
like
things
the
end
Raiders,
up.
for example. Who the hell wants to coach the Raiders right now? Because Pete Carroll's probably going to retire, in all honesty.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it all depends how the season is going to end for them. Hopefully, they prove us all wrong and they like just play a complete game. Just play a game we know they're capable of playing for 4 quarters instead of going, you know, going in the turtle shell against a good team because it's going to happen in the playoffs. And if it happens in the playoffs, I find a hard time believing they're going to get away with it 4 times. So that being said, let's move on to some other big highlights of the week.
Well, let's talk about Saturday.
Yeah, 2 games on Saturday. Chargers Texans, the first one. Once again, I mean, this is the Texans defensive. I will say masterclass. It was great. They could not stop Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson even a little bit. But this definitely reeked of a Justin Herbert, not his fault game. I mean, some of the drops that Oronde Gadsden and Keenan Allen had an early drop, and
The
there was just
Gadsden
some.
tips pass that got picked determined the game.
Yeah, it's just like, and like Cameron Dicker all of a sudden missing kicks, missing an easy one too. Like the
I
Chargers did
honestly,
everything they can to lose this game.
I gotta be honest. Like this Texans team reminds me so much of the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Um, I think Stroud and Nico Collins got some more juice than Trent Dilfer had back in the day, but it is very similar because the Texans rank like 25th in EPA per play on offense, and like that's horrible, man. That is really effing bad. But they're first in defensive EPA per play by like a country mile. So it really they're playing a whole different class of level of defense, but offensively, it is rough. It is rough at times. The offensive line is still just not good, even though it's better. And Stroud's pretty inconsistent on a game by game basis. Some games he looks really nice, makes some good
You,
throws.
I really,
I didn't
I
think he
want,
was very good this
I
game.
want to give Stroud like flowers because I feel like after his rookie year, as soon as he started to struggle, everyone just wanted to bury him and be like,
Sure.
"LOL, you suck,"
Bum rookie.
etc. Yeah, exactly. But dude, even on some of his bad turnovers, like the offensive line for the Houston Texans is not good. It's not the worst of all time like it was last year. Like it
Mhm.
has improved to an extent, but like he just made some reads where it's like throwing in triple coverage underneath the receiver, forcing the ball. And like granted, outside of Nico and Dalton Schultz, he really doesn't have a whole lot to work with. Jaden Higgins is as a
We say this as Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins both had 2 big touchdowns in that game, but your point stands. I mean, Tank Dell going down. We see how good Stephon Diggs has been for Drake May. It would have been nice for him to be back. Like,
the Diggs, like Patriots Diggs would do wonders in the Texans offense. I 100% agree with
and
you.
like the offensive line still sucks. So
I
there's that.
mean, it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen teams with offensive lines like the Texans win the Super Bowl. I didn't think the Seahawks offensive line, like during the Legion of Boom days, like was all that special. Was it better than the Texans? Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. But was
Definitely.
it special? Like, no, not really. Uh,
No, no, it wasn't. Like you're
no.
you're you're right. You're right for sure.
But the AFC is so up in the air. Like Bo Nix getting beaten to shred, like beaten to a bloody pulp by the Texans defense, and CJ Stroud making like 5 big plays. Like
Yeah, the way that they need like Nico Collins to get like 2 to 3 big plays, and they'll probably win most games in the playoffs. But, like, we see remember how they lost to Denver with when CJ Stroud got knocked out and Davis Mills was playing and did not play very well, and they kicked 5 field goals? That's how they are gonna like, if they lose in the playoffs, that's how it's gonna look. The defense is gonna be great, but they're not gonna score, like, any touchdowns, and they're gonna lose, like, 13-9, and it's gonna be very annoying and painful, but that defense is so good that it is absolutely capable of beating anybody, of beating any caliber of quarterback. We've seen them shut down the best of the best. It's capable of beating any caliber of offense. Um, yeah, just straight up, the Texans are definitely a contender, even though the offense is pretty lackluster. Um, as far as the Chargers go, really just a tough loss for them. I thought Herbert was just it was genuinely felt like a not his fault situation again. Um, but a tough loss for them, and they're gonna sit him next week as probably for the best. It's most important that he gets healthy. He's been dealing with bumps and bruises and broken hands all season long, so he definitely could use some time to heal. But the Chargers, I just don't see them at all going on a run. They're like, you know, there's a lot of teams in the playoffs that are very good on defense, and their offense struggles, and their defense isn't as good as the top flight ones, and the offensive line is just so bad that, like, Herbert would have to be it's just like a total bailout situation if they're gonna find a way to win, and I
Yeah,
just
it
don't
really
think that's
does
happening.
feel like the Texans are like, sorry, that excuse me, the Texans. The Chargers are like one like big off season. When I say big off season, I mean like not like Mekhi Becton not being your only free agent. I mean like signing a like borderline Pro Bowl interior lineman to go with the healthy Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. I
That's
mean,
another thing. They need a better stroke of health luck too. Like that would have
um,
if those 2
adding
tackles were healthy, what would the Chargers look like?
pr- probably better on
1 seed?
offense.
1
Their
seed,
defense is
maybe?
pretty good. Like
It's really good. It's really good. It might be the 1 seed, genuinely.
right, like I don't know, like going out in the off season like the Bears did, and like offensive line, we're just going to load up on the offensive line.
Overpay for your needs because you can kind of afford to. Like, that's
Right.
something that the Bears did, and it really skyrockets you into a good position, so, um, but yeah, Chargers drop that one. Texans need some help from Jacksonville if they're going to win that division, but they're poised to probably get the 5 seed, which is a big spot because of one of these 2 teams potentially being the 4 seed. So the Baltimore Ravens went into Lambeau and put on a offensive masterclass, dare I say, in the backup quarterback
Masterclass, you
role.
mean like handing the ball to Derrick Henry?
Well, it's all really took, especially coming off the game where he doesn't get any touches after the 12-minute mark in the fourth quarter, and they overcorrect and give him 36 carries, and he runs for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. So seems like, especially without Lamar, or if Lamar's not 100%, you have a decent operation on how you can succeed, and that's just leaning on Henry. And they took advantage of what is a pretty piss poor Packers defense without Micah Parsons. The run D was already pretty suspect, and then you take away Parsons, it's really, really bad. So they took advantage of a banged up, terrible defense while um, Malik Willis was matching them for the most part, and then he gets knocked out of the game, and all hope was lost after one pass Clayton Tune throws gets intercepted. But really the biggest takeaway from this, honestly, is the Ravens giving themselves a shot next week, the Packers defense making everyone think they have no chance to win in a playoff game. But I also what do you think about Malik Willis, man? He's a free agent next year. Do you think that he deserves a shot to be a starter in, say, Indianapolis or Miami? One of those 2 teams that could probably use a quarterback and, you know, if they keep their head coaches, could definitely take advantage of, I think, of a very favorable athletic skill set that Malik Willis possesses, because what Matt LaFleur's been able to do with him is really impressive. He looked awesome, frankly, against Baltimore. He was slinging the ball all over the place, accurate, great velocity. His legs opened up a whole new avenue for them. I think a team like the Colts could be fantastic for
Like
Malik
Malik
Willis
Willis
next
will
year.
be like Jalen Hurts light in Indianapolis.
To an extent. I mean, like, the Packers' run game is without a doubt gonna, I think, see improvements with Malik Willis because of the threat that his legs provides. I mean, we saw 2 really nice rushing touchdowns from him. Um, it's a guy that I would feel very confident in if my quarterback went
Indianapolis
down that he
makes
had
the
to
most
step in.
sense. Listen, man, I got a Malik Willis like rookie autograph card. So yes, him being good would be very good for me.
It
But
it would. It really would.
it would be very good for me. Mike, I gotta be honest, and I feel like this is kind of a boomer take. Back at like when I first started watching football, when you had like a good quality backup and that guy was available, that guy would be highly coveted by other teams to bring in to be a potential starter
Mhm.
versus going into the draft and drafting a quarterback early because of the uncertainty aspect of it, right?
Sure.
But because of the rookie pay scale, like like the Colts make the most sense because they don't have a first round pick. And like honestly, I have no earthly clue right now who's the third best quarterback in this draft class behind Mendoza and Dante Moore. And if you're just going to draft somebody who's the third best quarterback and you need that guy to start, like that like never works.
No, it's not ideal. And, like, you think about 2 guys that were given opportunities to start this year that were much maligned, Justin Fields and Daniel Jones are who I'm talking about. I think Malik Willis has done more in the last 2 years as the Packers' backup playing for banged up Jordan Love than what Daniel
Definitely Justin
Jones
Fields.
what Daniel Jones showed last year. What in God's name did Daniel Jones show last year that actually made us believe that he could be a competent starter? It wasn't this, and definitely more than Justin Fields. And both those guys got cracks at being the starter. And Jones worked out for the Colts. Obviously, Fields didn't work out. So I think Malik Willis absolutely deserves a shot to be a starter. If I was a Packer fan, I'd really want to keep him as a backup, but I think he might get an opportunity. So shout out Malik Willis, man.
I agree.
Get
Packers.
to Sunday.
By the way, the Packers, since they added the seventh seed, the Packers have been if they didn't have the seventh seed, Michael, the Packers would have missed the playoffs the last 4 years in a row.
Crazy to think about because they've made noise, you know? Obviously not last year against the Eagles, but they went on a run. They beat Dallas,
Well,
in 2023.
Hence why Lafleur's name is like whispered about as, ooh, could they move on from Matt Lafleur? Like at this stage, the fact that this head coaching crop that's coming up is so bad that Kevin Patullo, like Tom Brady, almost said on the broadcast last night, like, oh, Jalen Hurts is being so protective of the football. He's coached that. I love it. Blah 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 blah. You know what, Tom? Go hire Patullo to be
Dude,
your head coach, then, Tom.
Tom was so complimentary of the throwaways in the second half. It was driving me nuts. Like he
Good.
loves Jalen,
Hire
and that's
Patullo
great.
from us then. Go ahead, Tom. Like, come
He
on.
loves Jalen, and that's
Not
awesome.
to
But he
talk about yesterday, but like, my point being is, if you're the Packers, you need to seriously think if you want to fire Lafleur, who do you have besides Kubiak that you could hire to
Yeah, I
replace
think
him?
the Packers would be, if you look at this season and you think that Matt LaFleur is why they're where they're at right now, I think you'd be sorely mistaken. one, it's been the defense. Two, the defense is also ravaged with injuries. Like I know it's very hard to just like be like, oh, relax, things will turn up, but like relax because things will turn up. If the Packers were healthy, everyone forgets they were everyone's hot Super Bowl pick
Well,
in the early
bro,
fall.
when I think of like good like Packer defenses, they had guys like Clay Matthews, Charles Woodson, um, Mike
A,
Hughes,
AJ Hawk and
Jair Alexander. Like this,
DJ Raji,
like this Packer defense is literally it's Micah
Julius
and
Peppers,
like Micah and
Xavier McKinney,
and not
and
guys they didn't draft, by the way.
oh no, all these guys are acquired. Edgerrin
You
Cooper
know,
is pretty good, but like Rashawn Gary is a complete scrub. Carrington Valentine or whatever is also a complete scrub. Like it's ugly out there. Besides those couple guys, so yeah, they need some improvements on the D. But listen, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be the 7th seed. We'd be foolish if we didn't think that, say, a Bears Packers 2-7 matchup wouldn't be like a total toss up. Like we'd be crazy not to think that. All
could
that
you
history, all that
imagine?
voodoo.
Could you imagine if
Packers go in there and win. They were pretty damn close to doing it a couple weeks ago. Needed a miracle, basically. But let's move to Sunday.
yes?
The there's some slop that like I'm legit like. Do we need to even speak anything about the Cardinals Bengals? Like
Sorry,
no,
I
right?
have the Rams game pulled up. 7-0 Falcons. Bijan
I
dropped.
do too. I have it on here. Bijan caught a little drag route in the corner of the end zone. After a team's traded punts, Falcons drove down and scored. But yeah, I don't think there's any need to talk about Bengals Cardinals. So why don't we just proceed as
Well,
upstanding
I mean,
citizens?
I mean, shout out Trey
I
McBride.
mean, but yeah, sure. For beating Zach Ertz's record, I don't care. He
Bro,
just erased Ertz from the history books.
I don't know, bro. What is this? By the way, shout out Chase Brown. If you somehow conned your team league mate to pick him up, he probably just won you fantasy for the last 2 weeks. In all honesty.
Yeah. Anyways, the Steelers played the Browns in what was a classic AFC North slugfest.
Oh, is that what we're calling this?
Yeah, slugfest, slopfest. One or
Biggest
the
win in
other.
Shador's career. I'm going to say this is the biggest win in Shador Sanders' young career.
Didn't even play well. He actually, I thought, played poorly, to be completely honest with you. But the Browns defense, listen, the DK Metcalf suspension was absolutely brutal for them because watching Aaron Rodgers just run back shoulder type fades to Marquez Valdez Scantling and none of them connecting, it was pretty brutal to watch, man. Darnell Washington went down with an injury in this game. Um, but the Browns defense is legit. It's like top 5, I think, by EPA per play. The Steelers did everything they could to not allow Myles Garrett to get that sack record, which, like, to be completely honest,
I thought it was kind
the
of
meme
funny
of it all is
that
funny, but I think we
I
need to
thought it
be a
was
little
funny. Aaron
serious.
Rodgers was asked, "Hey, are you going to give Myles Garrett the sack record like Brett Favre gave Michael Strahan the sack?" As soon as you said the word Brett Favre to him, he just was like, he got triggered. He was apparently like, absolutely effing not.
I mean, listen, we Aaron Rodgers in his like post old ass career, we know is like terrible against pressure. He gets rid of the ball in like under a second. Like it's not even like that's not even a meme of it. Like the Steelers take away Myles Garrett every time they play him, and Rodgers gets rid of the ball immediately. So I think that was just part of their game plan. You take away DK Metcalf, and you're not against the soft run defense where you can let Jalen Warren and Kenny Gainwell run wild. You're stuck, man. And they were stuck. They had the ball down there and they couldn't connect in the end zone, and they suffered a really really tough loss that'll now set up a winner go home playoff situation for the AFC North on Sunday Night Football next week between the Steelers and the Ravens. So that'll be fun. That'll be, I'm sure what it always is. But yeah, Cleveland coming out with a huge win, hurting their tank, but also hurting the Steelers. And we all know that they would love to contribute to the Steelers missing, even if it means the Ravens make it. They always want to play spoiler in these spots. So really tough loss for the Steelers. Them not having Metcalf next week is going to be humongous. So we'll see how that impedes them. Any other thoughts before we move on?
I just think that I've been like a Shador supporter, so because I felt bad for what happened to him and like the conspiracy and the collusion. Um, it would be effed up if the Browns like drafted Dante Moore and then we're like, no, we're just moving on from Shador after
Mhm.
this year. Because like you look at like the best Browns wins, like he's always there. I know he didn't play well, but hey, man, he if you're like if you have a rookie quarterback, like this is like the Browns version of like beating like his first. It's like Jalen's first Cowboys win, or like Jalen's first Giants win.
Listen,
You
it's a
know,
huge win.
and listen, the
Absolutely.
Steelers are a shadow of them former selves in terms of like relevance, but like, come on, bro, you're the Browns, you know. So
Yeah.
anyway, moving on.
Next game, we'll talk about this for like a hot minute.
Bro, Audric
Saints
Estime
Titans.
led the Saints and led this game in rushing. Former Eagle Audric Estime. That's
Yeah.
how banged up the Saints were entering this game.
Yeah, Saints get a win. Tyler Shuck is currently either the betting favorite or second in odds, very closely for the
He's
offensive rookie of the year
he's
behind
the
Ted
favorite. He's
McMillan
minus
potentially.
money.
I saw him minus, and then I saw him later in the day plus. So I think it's very neck and neck between Ted McMillan and Tyler Shuck for offensive rookie of the year, according to Vegas. Shout out Tyler Shuck, man. That's all I got to really say. A guy that I gave zero credit to coming into the season, thought it was a terrible pick. Older rookie quarterbacks, they tend to never work out. And listen, maybe his career is not anything that impressive, but um, what we do know is that he should get a second year, full season next year as the New Orleans Saints starting quarterback. And Kellen Moore has done a really nice job with them. They've been winning games recently, and they've been playing just a lot more inspired football than we've seen from the Saints in a while.
Look, it's good for
And
the
Tyler
Saints.
Shuck's a big part of it.
If it wasn't Tyler Shuck, it probably would have been Tanner McKee.
Yeah, man. I guess. No, you're right. So yeah, some pretty shout out Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, and his offensive coordinator, Brad Nussmeyer. I think his first name's Brad, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think Garrett Nussmeyer is coming out in the draft because he was really bad for LSU this year. But
Hmm.
people, that was kind of like a conspiracy theory, not conspiracy theory. That was like a not
Prediction.
so sexy pick where it's like, oh, the Saints will just draft the OC's son to be their next franchise QB.
Hmm. Hmm.
But no,
Um,
I agree. Tyler Shuck does deserve to be QB1 next year for the Saints. I agree
yeah.
with you with that.
Next game we have the Jags and the Colts, and what was a grimy one for Jacksonville? Not their prettiest of wins, but when you win this many games in a row, they're not all going to be pretty. That's for sure. We saw last week with Houston barely beating the Raiders, and we're seeing it here where the Colts had a Hail Mary attempt to potentially win them the game, um, and they couldn't get that done. But the Jags did what they had to do, man. I mean, they are about as good of a looking team as there is in the NFL right now. Their defense is like top 5 also in EPA per play, or top 7 maybe, I think. And their offense has really been good. Trevor Lawrence threw his first interception in a long time, and what I didn't think was like a bad decision by any stretch. But ETN's playing really well. He's been effective, especially in the passing game. And Trevor Lawrence is Liam Cohen has Trevor Lawrence using his legs super effectively in the red zone. It really is a threat that once they get down in that red zone, they start um, utilizing his legs with little keepers, with zone reads, with draws, QB power, and it's been great. Some scrambles as well. They have a lot of ways to get you, and you know what would keep the Jags from going on a legitimate Super Bowl run is, I think, just Trevor Lawrence going through one of his ruts. We know he's prone to it. He hasn't had it in a while, and I think it's hard for us to believe that he's like perma fixed and is not going to go through any ruts anymore. Like, oh, he's finally fully realizing his potential. Um, just for the Jags' sake, hopefully for them, it doesn't come through at the worst time in January.
Well, no, I think what would do Jacksonville in, Michael, in all honesty, me personally, I'm going to say it's at the receiver position, the lack of weapons. I know what you're about to say, but look at Parker Washington. He's really played well the last couple of weeks.
I
Or
mean, when they acquired Jacoby Myers, the whole offense took off. Like, they got Jacoby Myers in a trade, and he stabilized the entire position group. Parker Washington's getting a lot better since he got there. Brian Thomas Jr. is a lot less pressure on him. He gets a lot less looks, but he's a lot more effective in his limited looks. And Jacoby Myers is really kind of hitting his potential, it seems. I mean, a reliable pair of
well,
hands for Trevor Lawrence.
Jacoby Myers has not recorded a 100-yard game this year. The most catches he's had since joining the Jaguars is 6. Now, granted, he's caught 3 touchdowns for them. I think my point being, Michael, is when you look at this AFC and you look at all the weapons. Sorry, when you look at all these teams with like these like demonic defenses, right? Denver, Denver, LA, Houston. Like they don't really have a guy that like they're gonna be in a gotta have it play, and like Houston has Nico, Denver has Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton, if he was on the Jags, is head and shoulders better than anybody they have right now.
Listen, I hear what you're saying. I
Even the
definitely think
Chargers, like
it's
Ladd is
valid.
better than anybody they have. Shoot, I mean,
No,
like
you're right. They definitely don't have a guy that's like, oh, money down. We know where Lawrence is going with the ball here. And like sometimes that plays to your favor, but other times that can
because
definitely hurt
I'll
you.
say this: like fixed T Law is better than fixed Baker was last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence has been playing awesome, no doubt about it.
So that I mean, I think
I
that's
think it'd be a combination of both. I think it would be, the receivers aren't getting open, and then Lawrence has like some backbreakers turnovers wise, and
yeah,
that
like
would
I
do
don't
him
yeah,
in.
because I just don't think you can just like
The defense is good enough, and what Liam Cohen's cooking up has really been good enough. That's another thing too. How do you work around having weak weapons? Great schemes. And Liam Cohen, we see how good of schemes he's brought to Jacksonville. So um next game we have here.
I
The Tampa
told
Bay
you, dude.
Buccaneers. You were right, man. I didn't properly hate watch. I didn't properly put my eggs in the hate watch basket. We all know how I feel about Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, 346 yards, dude. My ass. He had 250 before that last like 90 plus yard drive down 2 possessions to make this a respectable score. The fact of the matter is that he sucks. He has sucked for months now and is the number one reason why the Buccaneers are like in a win or go home situation against the Panthers, really. I mean, it's really a shame that the Panthers are just straight up a bad team that's held them back from just taking a complete stranglehold over this division, but Baker his play has been erratic, it's been inaccurate, it's been turnover worthy, and it's tanked them. Like, the Dolphins were doing essentially everything they possibly could to just hand this game over to the Buccaneers, and time again, Baker was making bad throws, taking bad sacks, getting, bad plays under pressure, and turning the ball over when it mattered most, and they lost because of it, just
Baker and
full
Goff
stop.
are very similar. They basically almost need to be told what to do, and when they're like,
They can hit a flow state where things look really good, but things start getting a little hairy.
because
The
I think the OC for the Bucks is Josh Grizzard. I think he's had a rough first year, a lot of injuries, and like, listen, dude, like Josh Grizzard, like, bro, when you're coaching Matthew Stafford, like, working under Sean McVay, like, you got a pretty easy job, I think, right? Now you're on the Bucks with, Todd Bowles, who Todd Bowles is probably going to get fired. He
he
is not
definitely
taking
should get
any
fired.
accountability for what's happening.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. It's a mess down there in Tampa, to be completely honest with you, because you're looking at a guy like Baker, and you can't be serious if you think that he's like an answer to actually win meaningful games in this league. And you have an aging core of receivers with, Igbuka in there, which is nice, but like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are Evans is very close to retirement. You can feel, and Godwin physically, the injuries,
Godwin
he's like
needs
one
another
more
year
injury
to get
away.
healthy, and he'll
He's
be
like
able
one
to
more
catch
injury
up.
away from retirement though. So
Yeah.
it's not great, the situation. And the defense isn't all that great either. They're really not that good. Like, top to bottom, they've just been taking advantage of what a slop division the NFC South has been, and it's fooled people into thinking that they're serious, when the truth is that they're anything but. Um, but ultimately, they're gonna play on Saturday against the Panthers, likely with a chance to go to the playoffs and host either the Rams, Seahawks, or 49ers, depending on how the rest of the playoffs shakes out, which the way this game's looking so far, I'm suddenly worried about a potential Eagles-Rams first-round matchup that I don't want to happen, so, um, but anyways, next game we have on the docket to talk about, very briefly, as I'm seeing what it is, the New England Patriots absolutely dismantled the New York Jets, 42-10, felt like any hand-picked game outside of like 2 years from the last 25, um, where the Patriots just put an absolute ass spanking on the Jets. And Drake May, very much understanding the MVP argument, is against him in the counting stats category. So he farms touchdown passes with, what did he have? 5 he finished with against the Jets.
Well, I mean, he was 9 for 9 at one
He was
point.
11 for 11 at the half with like 4 touchdowns or whatever. So he was very good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the Jets are about as bad of a franchise ever.
Yeah, it's funny to me, like this, like Drake May, like this second year, like basically, like challenging rookie year with like a bad coach and like really bad roster. They made improvements. Gosh, dude. I'm about to say something pretty stupid, Michael. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like when like Peyton Manning like first started emerging, a guy like that, like or like I'm like Tom Brady even like wasn't this good the way Drake May's been his second year. Like it to me it's like
He's
Drake
he's
May's
he's very
probably going to be a top if he's not in the convo, like he probably is going to be a top 5 QB.
yeah, I think, again, the way this game's going to start, it's obviously very early,
He's
but
got juice, man.
the
I'm just
Rams are
saying.
losing the game away from, like, Stafford having virtually no shot at the MVP, and Drake May being the most accurate quarterback in football this year. Usually you see that with, like, oh, Sam Bradford led the league in completion percentage, Kirk Cousins always would lead the league in completion percentage, like check down guys. But Drake May, great accuracy while
What
targeting
impresses
downfield
me
with a
so much
lackluster
about Drake
receiving
May,
core.
Michael, what impresses me so much about him, because we look at like other great quarterbacks of the last like 15 years. Aaron Rodgers sat for like 3 years. Drew Brees, it took Drew Brees like 5 years to be good. You know, Tom Brady.
I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes. He sat for a year and had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to throw
Yeah,
to.
that's the thing. He sat for a year and learned. Drake May was, got the snot beaten out of him, and now like. But here's the thing too. Like you mentioned, I'm sorry to cut you off,
No,
Michael,
you're
but
fine.
Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and oh yeah, Andy Reid was his head coach. He's got Diggs, Travion, like old Diggs, like
Who's been
Boomer.
very good, by the way. We can't, like,
He's very good,
hammer
but
him.
it's not like 2019 Diggs, you know?
No, no, but he's definitely effective. The point is that, yes, the weapons are not good, and, you know, the schedule and defenses he's playing aren't anything insane, but he's making all the throws he needs to make. He's winning in a lot of different ways, and I'm very, very intrigued to see how they look, in the playoffs. I'm very,
Against the
very
real team.
intrigued. Yeah, 'cause it just not even like, "Oh, here's frauds, frauds." I'm not gonna throw the label and call the Patriots
I think they
frauds.
can win their first playoff game, but I think they're going to lose in the conference championship game to a team that maybe has more playoff experience than them.
It's just a matter of what Drake May's gonna look like in a playoff environment, and what a Patriots team that isn't super talented is gonna look like in a playoff environment against another playoff team. Like, depending on how things shake out, the AFC can shake out a lot of different ways, but the way, Herbert not playing, things are shaping up to have, I think likely the things are shaping up to potentially have a, um, we'll call it, it's looking that we might have a Patriots-Chargers first-round playoff matchup, and that'll be extremely intriguing with the Chargers' great defense, but the offense being a little lackluster, 2 very highly, yeah, acclaimed quarterbacks in that game. I think that's the path we're heading down, is a 2-7 Patriots-Chargers first round. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, but yeah, Drake May is definitely the future of that franchise. Next game we have here, Seattle Seahawks, Carolina Panthers. The Seahawks are in a similar, like, style the way the Eagles have kinda been, where the defense is playing really well and the offense is just not. They win here 27-10, but Sam Darnold, once again, has not looked good. He really hasn't looked good since the 4 interception Rams game. Even the Thursday night game against the Rams, he made some really nice throws, which is good because that game was kinda starting to slip and he still played well down the stretch, but for the most part, he really has not looked good
Looking at
in,
that, watching this
like,
game,
2
like
months.
Michael, like straight up, the Seahawks just out talented the Carolina Panthers. You know,
I mean, like, Bryce Young, he's just not that great. Like, we like Bryce Young, we want him to be good, but, I mean, um he threw 24 passes and had 54 passing yards. Like, you're not even trying to throw the ball down the field. Like, what's going on there? You're not even
well, they had
attempting it.
one. He had one play on fourth down that got, you know, they were
There was a time he had
offsides.
16 passes for
I think
16
I
yards.
think I think the lights were after that big win against Tampa. I think the lights were a little too bright I think, for Carolina in this game. Which, hey, look, if they would have won, well, they'd be resting their starters this weekend.
They had no chance to win. Like,
But they had no shot. It was just like, yeah, I think the Panthers, how well they play as underdogs. I mean, at some point you're just going to get smacked at one.
and it's like they have some guts and they can hang around, and we've seen the Panthers look good. We've seen Bryce Young play well, but you just can't. You're not a serious solution at quarterback if any given week you can throw 24 times and only have 54 passing yards on the day.
Well,
His average air yard per target was 1.1 yards. You know how insane that is?
it looked like a little bit that like Tet is kind of like running out of steam. Like he
I
might
think
be
he was sick, right? He
he
was
was
sick during
sick
the
and like
game.
listen,
Yeah.
some guys just hit the proverbial rookie wall. And like look, is this season really a failure for the Carolina Panthers if they go 8-9 and miss the playoffs? I don't think it's a
No,
I don't think it's a failure by any stretch of the imagination. I
I think
just
as a Panther fan, I'd be a little disappointed
I mean,
that
yeah,
you beat the
you're right.
Rams and Packers and the rest of your division blows and you're not
Well,
winning a
Tampa's
you're
definitely
not
not
making the
trending in
playoffs.
the right direction, but now like New Orleans with Kellen Moore looks to be like competent to a certain extent.
Yeah. There's a playoff scenario that I wasn't aware of until, like, this morning, that as I'm watching the Falcons lead the Rams here 7-0 in the second quarter, if the Falcons win their last 2 games, which are against the Rams if they pull off the upset, and then next week against the New Orleans Saints, that puts them at 8-9 and would eliminate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, full stop, would eliminate the Buccaneers because if the Bucks win against the Panthers, the Bucks and Panthers are both 8-9, and the Falcons would be 8-9, and the three-way tiebreaker breaks in favor of the Panthers. The Panthers win that three-way tiebreaker and win the division. Whereas if it's a two-way tiebreaker between the Panthers and the Buccaneers, the Panthers win it. Or excuse me, the Buccaneers win it. So if all three teams are 8-9, the Panthers are making it. If the Panthers beat the Buccaneers, the Panthers are making it. But if the Falcons drop one of their last two games and the Buccaneers win, then Tampa gets in. So Tampa needs some help. I didn't even realize that if they win, they don't get in. They also need some help. That's what losing to the Dolphins did for them, is opened up the door for a three-way tie for them to choke the division away. So,
Losing to
very
Quinn
funny
Ewers.
thing there.
Losing to
Yeah.
Quinn
How about
Ewers.
it, man? How about
Speaking
it?
of slop, come on, man. Giants Raiders, like your best player, you're the Raiders, your best player's posting basketball videos, which isn't a little weird. Max Crosby has like sponsorships in his basketball gym he has in his house.
I did see that. That was a little
That's a little weird.
peculiar.
It's a little odd.
I
That's all.
guess
That's
they set it
that's all I
up.
got for this game. Well, for the game itself. One last thing, Michael, and then we'll move on. We already talked Eagles Bills to death. What do you think about the report? This is kind of like a big deal. Now that Daddy Dable is not with the Giants, the guy that really wanted Jackson Dart, he was banging the table for Jackson Dart, and GM Joe Shane, who I have absolutely no earthly idea why he's going to be employed next year as the Giants general manager. I have no clue. Says that they're looking, according to Ian Rappaport, they are looking at every position in the draft, including quarterback. Michael, you've brought up the term fireable offense today. Don't you think it's a fireable offense for the Giants to draft yet another quarterback, despite the fact they already have a quarterback already on the roster that has shown promise?
This is why I agree with you, and I would fire the general manager, because I'm of the mentality that just because you draft a quarterback doesn't mean you need to be married to them if it doesn't work out. And the biggest example of this
Josh Rosen.
is Josh Rosen getting drafted by the Cardinals in 2018. The following year, they end up with the first overall pick, and there goes Kyler Murray, who they draft, and for better reason. Kyler Murray
Kyle
had
Murray's
like
a way better quarterback than
say
Josh
what we want,
Rosen.
like yeah, they made the playoffs. It's been success is a tough term to use at all times, but like it was definitely a success to draft Kyler Murray, as opposed to had they had stuck with, Josh Rosen, that is. So I'm not, like, anti the Giants if they think that Fernando Mendoza say well, they probably won't even get the number 1 pick, and the Raiders will probably draft Mendoza, but if the Giants are have an opportunity to draft either Mendoza or Dante Moore, and they're evaluating it, and they think in their heart of hearts that Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore or whoever is a better prospect and better for the future than Jackson Dart, I'm not gonna be the one to be, "Oh, this is just malpractice, whatever, whatever, whatever." Yeah, it's not ideal. Yeah, it's not the best feeling in the world, I'm sure, but until it blows up in your face and both quarterbacks suck, I'm not gonna rip it completely. But to your point, I think this is why it makes sense to fire Joe Shane and just kind of start over. Bring in a new GM and make them the decision maker. Where it's like, okay, this is my team I'm running now. How do I feel about Jackson Dart? I wouldn't make my hiring decision on, hey, prospective GM, do you think Jackson Dart's the future? If the answer is no, get the hell out of here. I'm going to hire who I think's the best GM. And if they don't think Jackson Dart's the future and want to draft a quarterback, by all means, man, go for it. Draft a quarterback. I don't think Jackson Dart has shown you enough to the point where it would be stupid to look elsewhere. He's shown some nice flashes, but the fact, ooh, Stafford just threw a horrible interception to Jesse Bates, who is running it into the end zone for a pick six. Wow, wow, wow. Falcons up 2 possessions, going up 14-0 with an extra point. How about it? This is not good for us. Um, Regardless of that, I don't think Jackson Dart has shown you enough to think that he is like undraftable or like undraftable to draft to somebody else. We saw that since Brian Dable was fired, his effectiveness went down a lot. And, part of that is because Brian Dable was throwing him to the wolves and telling him to, do whatever it takes, and he's putting his body on the line and is brutal. And part of Meg Kafka's ideology has been, hey man, you're the most important player on the team. Why don't you take care of your body a little bit more? And that's led to some pretty poor results. Obviously, he looked good against the Raiders trying to
Uh,
lose, but
Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and
he's not polished enough as a passer to not
he's a
run
rookie.
around. I
Like
know
that's
he is. That's what I get it.
I mean, I have his stats. Listen, I have his stats pulled up now, Michael. I'm going to
He
defend
looked
Jackson.
good. He
I'm
looked
gonna
good when he was playing balls to the wall and putting his body on the line.
so
That's when it was like, whoa,
Jackson Dart
mini
this year
Josh Allen.
has in 13 games 22 total touchdowns. He has 5 interceptions. I don't think he's lost a fumble. He's fumbled 4 times. He hasn't lost a fumble according to Pro Football Reference.
Hmm.
I'm just triple checking that right now.
Hmm.
Um, let's see here. Fumbles. Yeah. He has not. He's got he has 5 turnovers on the season. And may I just say this, Michael? Their best player on offense is Malik Neighbors. He got hurt very early on this year, right? IHOP made a commercial where people are giving him crap for like ruining their fantasy team this year, right? You saw that. You saw that
I
commercial.
did see that.
You see that
Yes.
commercial? Are we really gonna be like, gah, God, I don't know if Jackson Dart's the future. When he's throwing to Wandale Robinson and Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton.
And Theo Johnson.
Oh my Theo, like Michael, like it's kind of it
All
literally
right, yeah, I didn't mean to set off
it,
the.
it would be like organizational malpractice. That would be like if in like 99 the Eagles decided with Donovan McNabb like came in the last 5-6 games and played well, and then Andy Reid's like, you know what? Maybe we should draft another quarterback because I don't know if Donovan's the future, and now you're going to create this problem.
I do think it was a little bit different, little bit. I'll say because Donovan came in and won 2 games to end the season of a team that had 3 wins before he got in there, and you drafted him number 2 overall, and it's like there wasn't a complete overhaul. It's not like Andy Reid was at the end of his wits and they were firing him and a potential new regime
But like,
change.
my
Like,
point
we're
is,
looking at a regime change in New York. If they don't like the quarterback, they don't like the quarterback.
but like Jackson Michael, I've seen more good from
Look at
Jackson
Wentz,
Dart.
man.
I've seen more good this year from Jackson Dart this year alone than 5 years of Daniel Jones.
Sure.
Which I
And
know is
listen,
not saying much, but my point,
no, because go
no,
ahead, go ahead.
my point is, like, if you go and draft Dante Moore, and now you wasted 2 first-round picks in a row on quarterbacks, when Josh Rosen, his rookie year, legitimately looked like he could not play NFL football. And that was further vindicated when he got traded to the Dolphins and could not play. He is now a student at the Wharton School of Business, Michael. He
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
college student again, right?
yes.
The old are if you're the Giants and you get a top 5 pick, a normal organization will look at the draft pool and say, okay, all right, we need to beef up our O line. Anthony Thomas is getting a little older. He's been banged up. We should maybe invest in Malaga from the Dolphins. Or Dolphins, geez, the Miami Hurricanes. Okay.
Well, the question becomes, are they enamored with Jackson Dart? You said it yourself. Brian Dable pounded the table saying, "This is who I want. This is the guy I want, Jackson Dart." If he really bullied his way into taking Jackson Dart and the GM wasn't in love with that pick, sure, the door's
The
open.
GM is on camera acting like an a-hole to Saquon Barkley. Like, my point is that Joe Shane,
They're
Ozzie Newsome,
dysfunctional, man.
He is not.
No, they're dysfunctional, absolutely. But if he's going to be the guy in charge still, um, wow, nice throw.
I'm saying, if the Giants, like, here's the thing. This is another thing to think about. Jackson Dart's on a rookie deal. That means you're saving boatloads of cash for salary cap wise. You can go out and make more improvements. Remember when they were paying Daniel Jones $1 bazillion to suck? And they were dealing with that? It just blows my mind that, like, Joe Shane would rather cut his nose to spite his face.
How good of a quarterback prospect would there have to be where you would find it acceptable to draft over while you have Jackson Dart?
Like, right now, can I go
No, I'm
back?
not going to say pick a quarterback in this draft, but it's like who's the worst level of quarterback where you'd say I can't miss this prospect. I'm taking him over Jackson Dart over recent memory. Is it Trevor Lawrence like that heralded it? Is it Justin Herbert? Is it Tua?
Oh, like
Like who is it?
Herbo.
Is it Jaden Daniels? Is it like how good of a prospect does it have to be where you'd say, you know what, can't miss it. I don't care about Jackson Dart. The lowest level.
I don't know, man, because this is another thing you have to think about too. You draft a quarterback. If you're Dante Moore and the Giants pick you, aren't you like, well, geez, am I going to be the starter? They already have Jackson Dart. Now I have to go.
Yeah. Oh, listen, it's a lot of
And if I
it's a lot of
screw
it.
up, like what? What are they trying to do here? Are we trying to recreate the Niners of the '80s with Joe Montana and Steve Young? Like, what the hell are we doing?
It's the Cardinals. It's
This
the
this
Cardinals model.
this well, no, the Cardinals model, yeah, the Cardinals model is working real great, Michael, because now Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starting quarterback next year. That's a great model to emulate. That is a tremendous model to emulate.
Listen,
Like this
I
is
hear you.
listen.
Well,
I'm not a
we didn't want to
Giants.
spend
I'm an
much
Eagles
time on
fan.
the
This is so dumb. Like this is literally like if they
they
actually
were the ones that traded up to take
if
him.
they draft Dante Moore, they make the Mets look like more competent in New York than they are, and that takes a lot. That's the Jets would be more competent than the
Right.
Giants
Yeah.
by default.
Yeah. Anyways, Sunday Night Football, good football, good teams, well-run teams, well-coached teams. That's what we're talking about here. The Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers put on an all-time classic of bad defense, really bad defense, and awesome offense. Great play design,
Did you have
great
Brock Purdy having
quarterback
10
play.
touchdowns in 1 week?
Dude, Brock Purdy has been really good the last handful of games since inserting
You
himself back
think
into the
you
lineup.
think Mac Jones looking competent in that Shanahan offense might have been may have lit a little bit of a fire under Brock Purdy? Like crap, bro.
Well, the first game he came back was that disaster against Carolina. What did he throw? 4 interceptions that day?
Didn't look good.
No, he didn't look good, but
And
since
Brock
then, he's
Purdy's
looked
better
awesome.
than Mac Jones, but
No, absolutely. Listen, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. I mean, no other ways around it, and Brock Purdy can definitely play with some juice, and he's playing with a lot of juice right now. He's real dancy in the pocket. He's dancy outside the pocket. He's making effective throws, good decisions. He's still good for like one turnover a game, but he's thrown some pretty bad interceptions in the last 2 games, and all his numbers are still incredible. Super efficient offense, super effective offense, and made throws when they really needed him too, and ultimately gave them the win. Their defense is terrible, full stop. The 49ers defense absolutely sucks, but their offense is very effective, and especially when Kittle's in there, it's pretty dynamic. They're getting healthier with Pearsall coming back. It was a really nice shot in the arm. You still see how Juwan Jennings is really effective. McCaffrey, despite being very inefficient in the run game, is just a total weapon. He really is entering his late career LaDainian Tomlinson arc where he's just such a receiving weapon and is able to be a workhorse for you still. Um, so yeah, the Niners are they're good, man. They're a really good offense with a pretty bad defense that's also really injured. But what are your thoughts on San Francisco?
I feel like San Francisco again, like very well coached team. Michael, you know my thoughts on John Lynch as the general manager of the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think he's a great GM
No,
personally. Recently, he hasn't been great. Bad drafts.
no, but I
And,
mean the current on-field product. What are we thinking?
I mean, I think when you talk about getting the juice for the squeeze, I think Kyle Shanahan's getting a ton of juice for not much of a squeeze.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
In other
It's a
words,
good way
like
to put it.
I got their box score pulled up here, Michael. The listen, we know McCaffrey's a dog. No denying that. I mean, Ricky Pearsall, when they drafted Ricky Pearsall, we were like very like underwhelmed by that. Led them in receiving last night. Jake Tonjes filling in for an injured George Kittle. George Kittle, he's a teacher. He takes a year off in the wintertime,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jawan Jennings, I mean, let's not forget the fixtures of this offense and this passing game was Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and
Hmm.
Debo. All three of them didn't play last night for various reasons. Still
Hmm.
scored 42 points. Feels like a system offense. You just plug guys in, and they just play well, which is great when you're a GM because guess what? Doesn't put a
Can
lot of
always
pressure.
circle it back to John Lynch slander.
Like you literally, like you basically, as long as you're like I don't know awake on draft day, like no one's ever gonna go after you for your job if like the coach you literally pick at semi-athletic guys to go into that offense and they're just going to produce.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Can you
It's
imagine if like Justin Jefferson played on the Niners, how horrible that would be
I mean, listen, we
for the
saw
NFL.
when Ayuk was actually, like, in there and carrying and good, how good that was, and when Debo was
Maybe Ayuk's
peak
just
of
not
his
good and he's just
athleticism.
a product of this system for all we know.
Well, I guess we don't know. But I mean, Debo's looked good in Washington, so, like, we know Debo was very good in there. But yeah, the defense though is not great, but the offense is definitely clicking in a way where they are a win away from getting the 1 seed in the NFC, which feels impossible. I feel like all year we and everyone else talking about football counted out the 49ers just because of the injuries. Bosa and Fred Warner went down. Purdy was banged up all year, and we're like, I mean, they have no chance. Like, even though Mac Jones is playing well and they're winning some games, they're not serious. They're not going to win a damn thing. And, Purdy comes back and they start really clicking in the defense while playing really ass last night, um, has shown that it's not like the word like it's very bad, but the offense has been able to keep up for it that I'm just shocked they have an opportunity for the 1 seed. And the way this is going, they're gonna finish first or second in their division as long as this score holds. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff there. They'll play Seattle Saturday night. Very excited for that one that we will pick later in the week. That is. The Bears, Chicago Bears, how about it? Caleb Williams, I thought played awesome. I thought he was tremendous. Throws all over the field. Was mostly like very accurate. But he really is. He feels very like just such a special talent. The way he's able to throw a ball rolling to his left with like crazy velocity and accuracy. Just not a lot of guys that can do that on a consistent basis, and he definitely can. Um, The Bears, they just feel like they just don't have enough. Obviously, their defense is not good.
They're
It's
similar to the
definitely bad.
Patriots. I feel like they have great coach, great
Yeah.
quarterback
They have an
play,
awesome foundation. They got some
not
more weapons on
not enough
offense.
firepower, I think, to really make noise in the playoffs. Because listen, we say this every year, Michael, is people complain. I had some guy on Twitter send me some very angry tweets. He's like, as I said, the NFL is successful because it has parity because you have all these new teams. He's like, he's like, you're an effing idiot. It's always Chiefs, Eagles at the end of the year. And I'm like, well, yeah, because they have the best rosters or they have the best coaches, you know?
Mhm.
Got a lot of brand new teams in the playoffs coming up, Michael. The NFL
Mhm.
last year looks way different now compared to this year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But the
Well,
Bears, they like Swift had some really nice runs, but like Monongai kind of looked useless.
again,
They
rookie wall.
they could use, like, they need a special talent at running back. Like, we talk about who's gonna draft Jeremiah Love. I could see the Bears putting together a trade package to go up and take Jeremiah Love. Totally. I mean, we saw them we saw Detroit take Jahmyr Gibbs pretty
I
high
had
up in the
this. I
draft.
had this theory. I talked about it with some of my work friends about Jeremiah
Mhm.
Love. I said, "Man, after watching like the Pop Tarts Bowl, I said, do you think if Jeremiah Love like hung like 200 yards and three tutties on like BYU in that game, just hypothetically speaking, wouldn't that improve his draft stock as opposed to like stay the same or potentially hurt it?"
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't his call that Notre Dame
Like
didn't play
Ashton
in the
Jeanty
game.
being the only good player on Boise State against Penn State in the playoff last year, that helped his draft stock, not hurt it. People weren't going like, "Ugh, Jeanty only had 100 yards and a touchdown against Penn State." Like, no, people were like, "Oh, he could probably do that in
No.
the NFL."
No, for sure. But I mean, that's not Jeremiah Love's call. That's Notre Dame sitting out. It's not.
That's my point, but I do feel like,
Listen,
yeah,
I don't know how high he's gonna end up going, but I do think the Bears would
dude,
be
I literally read
interested.
like I read like these mock drafts like every other day. Like everyone puts he's consistent. He's the only guy that I've seen that is consistently like a top three prospect in everyone's like big board. Like
Stafford
everyone,
just threw another pick. I don't know if it's gonna get called back from pass interference, but I think it is. But he did throw another interception. Regardless. No, I hear you. But we saw the Bears get aggressive. Oh, Stafford, is he walking off the field? Offensive pass interference? Wow. Falcons, another interception from Matthew Stafford. Not looking good for the MVP case. Pass interference offense, penalty declined. How about it? Let's see.
so Sam Darnold winning an OT broke the Rams.
It definitely feels like they got very demoralized. That was an incredible catch. Very demoralized after the loss to Seattle, that's for sure. Regardless, the Bears, I want to shout out Colston Loveland because that's a guy that you and myself too, to an extent, were like, you trade up to take a tight end and you don't take Tyler Warren. And Tyler Warren was looking so good early in the season, but Colston Loveland has proven that he just feels like he's going to be a guy for the next how many ever years in
Hey,
Chicago.
well,
Like,
Colston Loveland did like squadola the first like 5 or 6 weeks of the year. Let's pull up his game log.
oh, there goes Bijan in the open field, off to the races. It doesn't even look like he's fully sprinting, and he is in for a what is that, like an 88 yard or oh my goodness.
Can you not say this to me as I'm not in my
90
championship?
93-yard rushing touchdown for Bijan Robinson. Wow, wow, wow. Unbelievable play there. That was very impressive. Anyways, um, dude, Jesus. Colson Loveland, he was not very involved early in the offense, but as the season has gone on, he's seen his role improved and or increase, and his hands are awesome. He obviously he had a brutal drop on last night, but he was great. Luther Burden was great, who also had a brutal drop. Both those guys had awesome games, but one brutal drop each that kind of hurt that final drive. But the Bears got a great foundation. I think they need an awesome running back and to build out some of that defense, and they can be legitimate contenders very, very soon. If they're not already, man, their defense is not good, and it makes you think they're not going to be serious enough. But that offense is definitely scary. Yeah. So, what do we want to do here? Do we want to wrap up, or do we want to, or like, do we want to save the playoff scenario chatter for the weekend? I feel like that could be
We'll save
better.
it for the weekend. So
All
our
right, let's wrap up
so
here.
our show we're gonna do, yeah. So if you want to wrap up the
Saturday.
show, if you want to wrap up the show this way, do you want to pull up our previous year predictions, because it will be, this is technically going to be the last show of 2025.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So me and you talked about this on Christmas Day, but sure, let's pull up our New Year's bold predictions for 2025 and evaluate how we did here. So we'll start off with the hockey team. I said the Philadelphia Flyers will trade no one, do nothing of note, waste time. Now, this is during the season, and I meant this at the trade deadline. I was wrong, flat out. They traded Scott Lawton, they got a first round pick, shout out, and they didn't. I was just pretty bitter about the Flyers. You were correct in your prediction of Matvei Michkov not winning the Calder and it being due to John Tortorella's lack of minutes. And how about it? That's what happened. And you also doubled down and said Tortorella will not be coaching the Flyers next season. Nailed it, John. You were all over it. I'll give you that's a 100% full marks on your Flyers bold prediction for 2025. Shout out. Nice job there. The Sixers ones were very unserious as they were really bad, but they were playing briefly well by the time this was going down. They went through that stretch of looking like, okay, maybe everything can come together. I said hard fought second round battle and perhaps they win. And obviously they didn't even sniff the playoffs. They finished with a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. So that did not happen. And you said they acquired Jimmy Butler in the
I was
offseason.
being kind of unserious because the team was
Yes, it
so.
was very unserious, and neither of those things happened, nor did we probably actually
Listen,
expect
the
those things to
Sixers last
happen.
year were unserious, so I don't really.
Yeah. Phillies, 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 Phillies. Ugh, Phillies. I
Sad.
said 2 top 5 Cy Young finishers, one of which being Sanchez and my Cy Young winner being Zach Wheeler. I thought he'd finally get over the hump.
Sanchez pick looked pretty good.
Sanchez was right in there. He absolutely finished top 5. Wheeler, you know what? I'm gonna look up. Did Zach Wheeler finish 5th? Because if he did, I would love to pat myself on the back. Obviously, Paul Skeens won unanimously. Pretty disgusting. Wheeler finished 9th. Um,
But
Jesus Luzardo finished 7th, and I can sit here and argue that had some BABIP luck not gone against him, he absolutely would have been more deserving than
if
Nick
he didn't
Pivetta
have like the
and Freddie
worst,
Peralta.
if he didn't have like the worst June in like Philly pitcher history that screwed up his stats so bad.
Yeah, so I wasn't right there, but my heart was in the right place. My other part of the bold prediction was that they make it back to the NLCS. That didn't happen, and that's all we need to say about that. Um,
What did I say?
you said Rafael Marchand will catch 60 games. Did not happen. He
He had
caught like
47
40
games.
something. I mean, he was a backup catcher. But I think the
I
point of
thought
that was
JT.
the
I thought
purpose of that was
JT was going to get hurt again.
well, no, I think the purpose of that, which was valid at the time, was they're going to finally ease back on JT's usage, and then they
Like I
just
thought
didn't.
JT was going to play like first and like I don't know.
Well, we thought. I mean, listen, I think we both agreed. We were like, okay, they're going to give JT some more days off, and they just flat out didn't.
I should have just said
Um,
Schwarber 50 plus bombs.
yeah, that could have been a lot more fun. And then your other one was Max Kepler hits 25 home runs, which it just didn't happen. He wasn't good enough for the whole season. He had that nice stretch of being useful, but never really fully
Bro was
realized the hype that
assaulting
we
the
had.
top of that wall though for a lot of his doubles.
He did. He missed a
He
few.
was
Listen,
assaulting that right
I
field wall.
appreciate the energy. Philadelphia Eagles,
Oh
full
boy.
marks here for myself. Win the Super Bowl and win the NFC East again. 100%. It was bold because obviously the Super Bowl, I had done it previously and they lost it. So I think we were all a little nerveined, but They did get the job done this time, shout out, and then they followed it up by winning the division again, which hadn't happened in 25 years or 20 years or whatever, so, that's bold, man, and that cashed. You split, um, obviously, this was at the time where we had some free agents and whatever. You said they're gonna re-sign Zach Bond, which maybe wasn't super bold, but there was definitely general
The
concern. Wow,
Eagles.
the Rams just took a sack with 30 seconds left on, like, their side of the field, but not super deep in their own territory, and they just let the clock run out. All 3 timeouts.
What?
Yeah, so it feels like the Rams. I mean, we're who's the backup in
Raheem
LA?
Morris is auditioning to be their defensive coordinator next year.
Who's the backup? Oh, it's Garoppolo. We might see Garoppolo come out and start the second half the way the Rams are playing right now. Um, but anyway, Zach Bond re-signed. That happened. Happy it happened. We're all happy it happened. And your other part was they are going to draft Tyler Warren in the first round. Now,
No
at the
one,
time,
no one
that
at that stage seriously thought he was going to go top 15. No one.
listen, the point was that this was more about Goddard, and we thought he wasn't gonna be back on the team after the Super Bowl, and they kinda Josh sweated him, where they were like, "Listen, man, we're not gonna extend you, but we'd love to keep you for 1 more year, and I think you'd be better off having 1 more big year
Jalen
for
Hurts
us
had to
before
make
getting
a
paid."
phone call to keep him.
I mean, look at what happened with Josh Sweat. We were dicking around with his contract. He took a pay cut to stay, and he got paid big time off of a great season. What's going to happen to Dallas Goddard this year? He's got 11 touchdowns. He's having a great season. He's going to get paid after off this year. So the energy of needing to replace the tight end position is correct. You were just probably a year too early. But yeah, that was our bold predictions for
I can't
2025.
I can't wait to do my bowl
And I gotta cook mine up for 2026. So
I'm already I've
we
been
will.
I've been cooking it a little bit. I
You've been
have been cooking
festering.
it.
I'll be honest. I haven't been festering because I haven't been thinking too deep into the future about some of these other teams at the current juncture. So we will we will get those out on Saturday when we meet again and break down the final week of the NFL regular season. So
Yes.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Happy New Year.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.